So this is probably, among high volume builders, the most typical standard offer, right?
So there's, in this wheel here, there's video doorbell, additional cameras, alarm systems, keyless locks, connected thermostat, lighting control, and a hybrid home network. How many of you are already doing at least one of these things in your homes? It's about almost, let's say like 80% is what I'm seeing. So around 80%. How many people are doing all of these? How many people are doing half? All right, so we're already on the adoption curve here because that's about what I expected.
Yeah, and I just provided a little bit of industry perspective on this. So I started working on home automation in the mid to late 80s, actually. And that was, it wasn't the ground floor. We were actually pouring the foundation of the industry. Nothing worked, right? So it was like a lot of big pipe dreams from big companies and industry organizations like NAHB and the Consumer Technology Association, but a lot of things really just didn't work, is the honest truth. But, and I was working on security trade shows, and we're like, oh, the security guys, they're a natural fit to do home automation. And they just wouldn't do it. They just wouldn't do it. And it's because their business model is based on recurring revenue. Remember, Tim was talking about recurring revenue for you all on the lifetime value side of things. So until ADT, which is the 800-pound gorilla in home security, figured out how to get incremental, additional recurring revenue, security guys didn't want to do automation. But what also happened is, same time frame, all the cable companies were adding security monitoring because they were losing subscribers for cable TV. They became internet providers, and they decided they would do security. They jumped into automation as well. So now we have multi-billion-dollar companies flooding the airwaves with awareness of this smart home security functionality. And that's why it's really become kind of a table stakes technology, I think.
You don't have a gorilla stuffed animal?
We'll work on that.
We got to work on that. We got to work on that.
We need another cat and
I got a
gorilla.
whole list. I got a whole list of animals you need to have next year.
But an 800-pound gorilla, that's a big stuffed animal.
I know.
Yeah.
I think it makes an impact. All right, so when we ask consumers what are the most important smart tech solutions that you provide for your home, increasing home security was the #1 by far. Around 50% of consumers who already are doing some sort of smart tech, it's really around increasing home security and having that feeling in their room. That might mean different things to different consumers as they're along their technology adoption platform, but the next one down is being able to control the whole home remotely. And so, but you have to see what a big gap there is. That's 20% of the respondents. And so if we start with what does home mean? And it's a place that we need to feel safe and secure. And so if technology can help them adopt, and if they can adopt technology that helps them feel more safe in their home, it makes sense why this is #1.
Yeah, I think the second bar, and I'll go back to the industry history thing. What happened in 2009 with ADT Pulse was phone-based. So this company called iControl provided the ingredient technology that allowed smartphones to be the remote user interface to the system. Before that, people were like calling dial-up lines to punch in stuff. So that was a big sea change too for smart home security.
And then when we talk about smart tech products that integrate throughout the whole home, they're leaning in towards, so we just said like for each of these, what is worth paying more for? So not just necessarily like what do you want, but like what do you want to pay for? And whole home security and whole house internet connectivity were the top 2 choices that consumers are willing to pay more for. And trying to have an entire home internet system that is connected. And so, you know, if I had to get the pods that extend in my house because my husband would lose his mind.
Wireless access points?
Yeah,
or, okay.
just like having access to the internet throughout, right?
Sure.
When we first moved into our home, my husband would be downstairs watching TV. He'd be watching a game, and he'd be trying to chat with his friends, and he'd lose he could watch the game live, but he couldn't text with his friends because we had terrible cell service. And he just was like, why can't I text? Da, 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 da. So we had to put one of the pods in so he could get on Wi-Fi on his phone and talk, because that was really important to him, that he had that connection throughout the house and that he didn't have to go upstairs to text everybody and run back down and miss a play. So that's one way. But the other way is through this whole house security. And with whole home security, they are willing to pay more. And we are trying to dig into now what that dollar amount is. So we're doing a follow-up survey on that so that we can start to apply the dollars.
But there's all different levels you could play in on this, right? And even starter homes can have a professional security system at not a terribly high cost.
And that's the thing, is that because we're so far along in the adoption of this, most people understand it and there's value applied to it already, and the industry's starting to figure it out.
Yep. So I'm not going to talk at this, but if anybody's interested in my crackpot ideas on what would be good, better, best in this category, I've laid them out here for you. I do consider the video doorbell kind of table stakes because it provides so much functionality, and to me, the keyless lock's got to go with that, right? Because that's a huge convenience factor, and not having to drive back to your house to let house guests who are coming,
the dog walker, whoever,
whatever. It's just that's table stake stuff. Connected thermostat. We all know you can save energy and have more convenience and comfort with that. And then, importantly, on the network piece, don't settle for your cable provider level of Wi-Fi connectivity, because you're going to get the situations that Deanna's talking about. You do need a more robust network than that. If the buyer is going to expand their footprint of technology over time, a lot of that is going to be dependent on quality Wi-Fi distribution. So, work with an integrator to have something that's at a higher level in terms of the coverage of your Wi-Fi.
Well, and I've sat with clients before and said, we need to talk about where and how your tech closet sits within your house, because we need to optimize. Nobody plugs in anymore. It's very rare that people plug in. To where can you place things so that you can optimize your Wi-Fi? Because in all of the smart tech that we're going to talk about today, if you don't have your house set up so that all of these things can integrate, you're stopping yourself really early. And so sitting and looking at your floor plan and how that all integrates early on before you get those approved is important.
I think that in the better category, I would highlight the basic lighting control. And it is an extension of the security piece, so that when you're arriving to your house, if you can remotely trigger exterior lights and you have path of access, path of egress lighting that's remote controllable, that's a tangible benefit that a lot of people are looking for.